What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I realize I have my audio on, so I'm going to turn that off. But you guys asked me to do some stuff on the D&D Celebration map, so I figured most of them out or lucked into them in a lot of cases. I have a bunch of notes, so people asked how do I figure it out. So what I will say is spoilers. What I will do, I will go through each of them. I will give you the theoretical way in which you are supposed to complete it. If I fully understand how you're supposed to do it, I will explain it, and then I will also give you the answer, okay? So let's start with the carousel, okay? So you can see the Witchlight Puzzle Challenge. You click play, and this is the Feat of Wisdom. And it has this whole thing about, let me just make sure I'm looking at the right one. The Feat of Wisdom is the blue one. Okay, so this one, it says, oh, there's all these different carnival things. It says it's trying to give you the hint with the music. It says figure out the name, the item the carousel is trying to sing to you, and I'll give you that item as a prize. And it says here's a hint. The music is playing in 3/4 time. Now, that is less than helpful in my mind, and you can listen to this, and I'll turn it on, and you can hear, let's see if we can hear it. Oh, if we turn this on, right, you'll hear carnival music. That's not important to you at all. What you want is the, and the 3/4 time, if I recall, is it's 3, you're going to basically be using only 7 of these. There's 8 total things here. You're only going to be using 7 of them. And you actually need to click on each of the horses and listen to the syllables that are extended in the voices. So,
Bija.
So see how he said Bija?
Bija.
The first one is B. The syllable B. Then we've got Plum U.
Plum U.
U, right? That's U, okay? Then we've got Atlas Cedar.
Atlas Cedar.
Cedar, okay?
Acacia.
Acacia. You get my point, right? So you'll go through all of this, and ultimately, you will get the letters that spell out what you need to type in. So if you get that, you can go through that, figure it out yourself. It's not very, I didn't think that was very intuitive in my mind. So I'm going to type it out for you in case you figured it out as we were going through, but it is buckler. This will get you a paper buckler shield as an Adventure League magic item, so it's not useful if you don't really play Adventures League, but it is basically a small paper square that can unfold to become a shield and then fold back again. It is strong as wood, as it would normally be, but there you go. So that is one thing I will also tell you, because it's important for the final thing, is make sure you write down what the feat was, the Feat of Wisdom, okay? The color associated with it, in this instance blue, and what it was, which was a buckler, okay? Let's move on to Silver Song Lake, okay? Now this one is kind of a pain. So there's this ladder here, and it basically says you're going to find something, and one letter is going to be off of it, and you are going to basically have to go through. Now the problem is that I had is this scrolls, it doesn't stop, which is very annoying. But basically, each one of these words is going to fit in here, and it's going to be one letter off of each one as you go through. And unfortunately, it needs to start with a specific one, which I don't think it really gives us anything. Let's see. You cannot reach the top of my fishbowl to secure a must-deserved kiss. Thankfully, we have a ladder. You will prove our friendship. Each of this true act of charisma. Each of the ladder's 4-letter words has one letter changed from the word above it. All the words include except the one on the top and bottom rungs. Those 2 words can unite into a single word, which will be your prize. So, the annoying part is you can figure these out, but unless you have them in the exact right order. So if you click out and click in and try to read like what the first one is when you come in here, let's see if we can get it. Ready? What's the first one? Ready? Let's watch. So that says a stopper. So really, what you want to start with is the spell that requires a drop of molasses. Okay. So if you're unfamiliar with what that spell is, that would be the spell. What's it called? The spell slow, right? So SLOW. What comes after molasses there on that list? What a commoner might feed a pig. You know, you're going to change one letter in each one to get the next one. So from slow, you're going to go to slop. Okay. Then after the pig, it's the sound a unicorn hoof make. From slop, you're going to go to clop. The hoof, then from where you keep your chickens, goes from clop to coop. And then it says what you can do in a cauldron, from coop to cook. Then what you let's see, what you stopper for a healing potion, which would go from coop to cork. And then it's what you can do. Where is it? Healing potion. What you can do to earn some copper, and you can go from copper to from cork to work. So your list should be going down in order: slow, slop, clop, coop, cook, cork, work. And then from each of those, you go one letter off for the top rung and one letter off for the bottom rung. And then, as it says, these two words can unite into a single word, which will be your prize. So we have slow at the top and work at the bottom. We need to shift one letter off of each one to get us what will fit in the middle. So I'll give you a second to think about it. You take some time. Remember to also denote that this is the feat of charisma, which is purple. Okay? Did you figure it out? Okay, so we're going to shift one letter from slow to glow. And we're going to shift one letter from work to worm. And the answer is glowworm, which will get you this particular potion here, which is the Flask of Glowworms, which the flask magically sustains the glowworms, and if in action, you can set the color, and it illuminates for 10 minutes. It's basically the equivalency of a torch. Okay. All right. Do you remember your algebra? Because this is going to be important for this next one, the gondola swans. Now, there's also a lot of things that I don't like about these because they are very annoying in that, in a lot of instances, they throw things in here to throw you off, okay? So basically you have all of this. It's a math problem. You need to basically assign letters to all of these and figure out the numbers that will work to get you what you need, okay? This gondola swans bit, Durlagron counts into the letters of the phrase gondola swans. But I didn't find that was useful at all. So the simplest way that I figured out how to do this is we assigned letters to each of them. So we have, E for elf, G for gnome, D for dwarf, H for human. So looking at this boat, we have G plus D equals E, okay? Then we go over here and we have H plus G equals 3D. Then we have H plus E equals 4D. And then D plus H equals 2G plus 1E. Okay? And then it's basically, when this is done, it will correctly reveal your prize. So you'll have to go through, assign numbers associated with them, figure out what they are, as you can see them up here, human, elf, gnome, and dwarf. And it will obviously be a 4-letter word, because you will be assigning each race its own individual letter, or number. And then you'll be counting down from that. And we will end up, I think it is this one, wand? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't really give you guys time to figure that out. That was my bad. I just know how frustrated I was when I did it. So anyway, they're nothing crazy either, so don't feel like you're missing out. You can use an action to expend a charge to target one plant within 30 feet. The target becomes lush, as in full bloom, for 24 hours. Gets all charges back daily at dawn. On a 1, the wand transforms into a swarm of stick bugs and is destroyed. Sorry, I do apologize for not giving you more time to solve that. That's on me. But do note that this is the feat of Dexterity, which is orange. Okay? We'll remedy that on the next one. Okay. There are other things you can do, right? You can go to the Guess the Cockatrice Feathers, which is a number that changes every time. It'll give you a wallpaper. You can go to the Feasting Orchard, and it'll give you a menu. Yesterday was toffee apples. Here you go, or cockatrice wings. Today is hand pie, so you can just download these 3 recipes if you so like. And then the Hall of Illusion takes you to the other map where you can find the previews for the book. All right, so then let's go to the Bubble Top Teapot, which is a logic puzzle. So basically you have your 4 goblins here, right? Some teapots are empty, others have tea, some have been laced with poison, and then each one's going to give you something, and you need to figure out how this goes, right? So Goblin 1, drink from dragons, not serpents, yet no worms of red. In that hue, it is best to choose minnows instead. If the pot's beside flowers, it's not smart to drink, but the amethyst blooms make safe neighbors, I'd think, right? So if you look at that, drink from dragons, not serpents, serpents being snakes, no red worms, no red dragons, right? In this hue, it's best to choose minnows instead. We can see we have a minnow here, right? If it's the pots beside flowers, it's not smart to drink, flowers. But the amethyst, purple, blooms make safe neighbors, I'd think. Okay? So, you get the point, right? And it's going to be a 4-letter word. There are 4 goblins. So, you obviously can go through and figure this out for yourself. Take note that this is the feat of Constitution, which is yellow. And then I will start off by giving you the first one because I feel like it's pretty easy right at the top here. It is a red minnow, which we learned from this is minnows instead. If it's besides flowers, it's not smart to drink, but amethyst blooms make safe neighbors. Well, here we are with an amethyst bloom nearby, okay? So there we go. We have our C as the first letter. Then for Goblin 2, roses only house tea when in marmalade hue. Marmalade is orange, to give you a reference there. Or if they're diagonal from beasts, white or blue. Of these, all but one has our deadly nightshade. It's a rose that's aslant from a pot with a blade. Okay? So take a look around, and you're going to want to try to figure out where we are here. All right? So we've got this. So let's go back and look. Roses only house tea when in marmalade hue. So roses house tea when in an orange color. Okay, so this is a rose in an orange color. That would mean, and this is a rose that's in an orange color. So that would mean any other roses would be poison, right? Or if they're diagonal from beasts with a white or blue hue. Now, a beast would be any animal in my mind, right? A worm, dragon, a snake, a wolf, a fish. Those are all beasts. Of these, all but one has our deadly nightshade. It's a rose that's aslant from a pot with a blade, and there are, again, swords. So, what I came to with this one, which I think is the correct one, which is this rose right here. Okay, so it is a slant from a white beast, which is the A here, if I'm understanding that correctly. Then Goblin 3, avoid purple or green if it's tea that you wish. Okay? Purple or green. So avoid all the purples and green. Unless it be bladed, thus safe from the fish. Knives of all others bring scurrilous tricks. I warn against sipping or you may be sick. So avoid purple or green if it's tea that you wish, unless it be bladed. Okay? Thus safe from the fish. So, taking a look at that, purple or green, unless it's bladed. Right? We don't have many blades on the field. We only have 2. Okay? Here is a green blade. And it says, thus safe from the fish. We happen to have a purple fish right next to this, so S. C-A-S. It's a 4-letter word. You could probably figure out what it is right now. Especially due to the puzzles. By the way, if you have a pretty good understanding of this, you can probably have figured it out already. This is all talking about drinks. And the first 3 letters we've come up with are C-A-S. And lastly, should your pot meet a fish to the right or the left, or above or below of life, you'll be bereft. I hate that. Heed our counsel, bold drinker, and choose the right pours. Find the 4 that are safe, and the prize will be yours. Meaning, this last bit here is find the 4 safe drinks, and the prize will be yours. Should your pot meet a fish to the right or the left, or above or below, your life be bereft. Okay? So you want one that doesn't have a fish anywhere near it. Above, below, left, or right. Okay? So if we look around, we can see, okay, we've got fish here, we got a fish here, we've got a fish here. These guys have a fish here. This one, you've got a fish here. You've got fish near just about all of them, except for this K has no fish anywhere near it in any aspect. You see these guys have a fish. Now, technically, the E also doesn't have a fish nearby, but the answer is cask. Now, for me, personally, when I got to CAS and I figured out we were talking about drinks, I just guessed cask, and it worked. By the way, you don't have to solve the riddle, obviously, if you can just guess what the answer is, which is how I got the 7th one, which I'll tell you about. So here's our Adventure League cask thing here. When uncorked, this small cask of wine plays calliope music and can fill up 2 water skins. It magically refills at dusk. Okay. So that was that one. And then we have the Mystery Mine. This one is the Feat of Strength, which is red. And it's some of it's tricky, and I'll explain it here, right? So you basically need to climb this ladder, right? Is what it says. Okay, all you need to do is climb up the shaft using exactly 12 spaces on the wall, placing one of your 6 pitons in every even-numbered hole as you ascend. So right there, we're going to go up 12 spaces. We're going to place a piton in every even number, right? So if we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, the even numbers, we know we're going up to 12. There's 6 even numbers from 1 to 12, so 6, okay? Each space you climb must be directly above or next to the last, meaning no diagonals. And your pitons must take you from the bottom to the top, so you can't just go all the way over. You got to keep going up, right? Just as you accept, he gives a cryptic warning. Find the name of your prize with a spike every 2. If a letter repeats, you must start anew. Okay, so first of all, right there, it's telling us we can't do repeat letters. Okay, so that's an important one. No repeat letters in our final word, no repeat letters in our traversal. So one thing you could do to start is just denote wherever there's repeat letters and realize that your path can't take you anywhere where there's a repeat. So there are very few situations on here where there is letters that are alone. For example, you can see that at the top, R is I think is one of the only letters other than G that is not repeated. So that's probably to consider it's either going to end in G or end in R. And just nomenclature-wise, things that end in R, more likely. Also, once again, if you put 2 and 2 together on this, it's going to be 12 spaces from top to bottom. And you're only going to put a piton in every even-numbered one, meaning that's going to be 6 total letters, 6 total pitons. And it says down here, spike every 2. It's a 6-letter word. Okay, that's the thing. It's not a 12-letter word, so you're immediately looking at this. It's a 6-letter word. Okay, and it's going to be every even one. So whatever you start with on the bottom, it will not be any of these letters because it will only be every 2. So every second, every even number space you go will denote your letter as you go. So that can help you figure that out, right? And you have to start at the bottom and you have to end at the top using a total of 12 spaces, no more, no less. So you can't just go straight up because that'll be 7, so that won't work. So you'll have to maneuver left and right to get yourself up to the top to be able to get this. So if that makes sense, right? Start at the bottom, end at the top. However you want to do it, but you need to make 12 total spaces, no more, no less. And every even number, those 6 will spell the word that you're looking for. Like I said, start looking at it. You can start to see a couple of letters appear a few times, and it's about climbing. So for some of you, you might have already guessed what it is. But I will give you a second to take some time to maneuver your way up, and then I will show you the path. It also might not be bad for you to draw this grid out by hand on a piece of paper and then play around with it, and then you can actually highlight lines going through to figure out what you think works best. But I will now show you the process, okay? So we're going to start with the letter A. and then we're going to go up to S. So this is our 1, 2. 2 is our first letter. That's where our piton goes. That's the first letter, so S. Then we're going to go up to C, and then over to P. S, P. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6 to the letter I. 7, 8 to the letter D. 9, 10 to the letter E. 11, 12 to the letter R. Spider. S-P-I-D-E-R. Type in spider. There you go. Get your Adventures League certificate, which is a fuzzy magical toy that sticks to any surface you place it on using a bonus action and a command word. It can be removed by using a bonus action to touch it again and utter the command word. It doesn't actually provide you anything super mechanical. All right, so at this point, we have done all of the, what I would consider the easier ones. This one, I hate it so much. This is the worst one. Okay, this is the Feat of Intelligence. Okay. So, Kenku Warlock Kettlestream says, Mr. Witch has lost his watch. We need to figure it out. To help it, you need to figure out what all the lost property items have in common and watch for the ones that matter. I've summoned 9 mystical shades that can cover the letter in the word circle. Each mystical shade you use will lead you to exactly 1 word. That way you can cover the item whose name he uses as a password. The item I'll reward you with is that with that item as a prize. So first of all, the most annoying part is you don't need to use almost half of these, which is the worst part, which is what I absolutely hate. Okay? So you can see here you have a noxious fish, a bronze vase, a singing star, a box of pins, a vision stone, an avian figure, an ivory tusk, a kinship ring, and a beeswax bar. And if you click on these, you'll see that they spin. And there are a variety of different letters in each one. Okay? So, what's important is you need to look at the watch, which I feel like most people didn't see. So if you take a look at the watch, you'll see that it's pointing to different things. So it's pointing to VII, right? It's pointing to an X, and it's pointing to an XII. So this is the annoying part of this whole situation. But if you look at it, it is pointing to these different things, which are very annoying because it actually means that it's only pointing to specifically, technically not all of those. It's actually pointing to a V, and it's basically what it's. I still don't fully understand this. It's basically pointing to the 1, the 5, and the 9. And those are the ones that you'll be using. So essentially, you can ignore everything here except for number 1, number 5, and number 9. And you basically are going to go through here and click through this and find something. So I was just basically clicking through all of these myself, just trying to see what I could figure out. Now, I went back and have figured out that that's in theory how it's supposed to work, but I looked through this, and this is how I figured it out right here, was this one. And it's a word scramble, and you need to unscramble it. So I actually did this one first, because this one, I was trying to do like the smaller ones to see, and if you do, you can see it pretty easily right, where is it? Here, right? If you look around this one, lens, L-E-N-S. I started here, because this was the smallest one, and this one happens to also spell eyeglass. And I was like, eyeglass lens, so I typed in eyeglass, and that didn't work. Then I typed in lens, and then I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, what is an eyeglass lens? It's a monocle. I hate this one. That's why I didn't really give you guys time to figure it out, because it's just a pain in the ass. And then it's the Viridian monocle. When this ornate malachite monocle is worn, you can read Sylvan. This is probably one of the better ones because it's non-attunement, as far as I can tell, and it's just that gives you the ability to read Sylvan. You can't speak it, but you can read it. Okay. And once again, this was the Feat of Intelligence, which is green. Okay. Then it'll bring us to our final. I can't believe this is a 25-minute video. It'll bring you to the ticket booth where you can go to do the final challenge, which is all of these butterflies. So I still don't know how this one is actually supposed to work because I tried it a bunch of different ways and it didn't work for me, and I just guessed it. Okay. What a beauty, Mr. Light exclaims to the crown. Each butterfly is a feat of perfection. The feat being capitalized, pointing to the fact that each of the things we did so far is a feat of something, feat of strength, feat of dexterity. Butterflies in 6 glorious colors. You know you can count on each of your favorites tonight. Don't you folks wish that there would be a number of butterflies in all 6 carnival prizes? But of course, there's a 7th prize, Mr. Witch says to all in attendance. There's only one way to get one of our fine replica crowns. Tell us the name of the final prize and it shall be yours. Okay? So, if you followed us so far, we denoted the different orders of the... we denoted what we won. We denoted what the colors were. And we denoted what they were, what the feat was. So we had feats for all of the core ability scores. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. If you put those in stat order like you would normally do, strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, that also happens to be in rainbow order, right? The strength was red, the dexterity was orange, constitution was yellow, intelligence was green, wisdom was blue, charisma was purple, so that's in rainbow order. So then if you were to look at this, you could count out all of the butterflies. And what you'll get is 3 red, 15 orange, 2 yellow, 5 green, 6 blue, and 15 purple. Here's the thing. I still have no freaking idea what the hell I'm supposed to do with this. I know I'm supposed to, I don't know if I'm supposed to look at the individual word and, look at, say, spider was the prize and go, okay, 3 letters into spider is the letter I. Okay. But then the orange one is a 15, and it spells wand. Am I supposed to count around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and the letter N? No, I know the letter N isn't in the final thing. So am I supposed to just skip to the end? Am I supposed to smush all the words together? Now, someone told me you're supposed to use what you figured out in the gondola swans thing where you were doing your math to determine these different things. And say, okay, you're supposed to use those to somehow add up and get and back into these numbers. I have no freaking idea, okay? I know the letters you're supposed to get because I guessed them. I don't know how they're supposed to appear in order. So, but that's the crux of it, right? You get all the prize numbers and you get the final numbers, right? Red is 3, orange is 15, yellow is 2, green is 5, blue is 6, purple is 15, and then somehow you're supposed to use those numbers and either the math problem from the gondola swans, something to do with the words here, and you figure out some letters, you unscramble the letters, and then you spell the prize. So I'll give you an opportunity to think about it, because I still have absolutely no idea. I cheesed it by figuring out that they're talking about it's a crown, right? It's a replica crown. So obviously the first thing I typed in was crown to see if it was just that easy. It was not crown. So then I started using my D&D vocabulary brain and started going through and typing in every single thing I could think of that is synonymous to a crown before I got it. So next up I tried, I was thinking the headband of intellect. So I typed in headband. Was not headband. I said, oh, well, there's circlets. Circlet of blasting, circlet of other things. Circlet? No, it's not a circlet. Then, and here's your last chance to click away and figure it out for yourself. I put on my best Ravenclaw hat and said, what's another word for a crown or a headpiece? Oh, yeah. A diadem. And that was the answer. We get the very important crown magic item, which is, again, stupid in the grand scheme. The stiff paper crown is bedazzled with costume jewelry. When you wear it, creatures that you can see within 60 feet notice your presence, even if you're in a crowd. While wearing the crown, you have disadvantage on stealth checks. These are all silly. I do think the Icewind Dale ones from last year were better. We actually had, decent familiars, like the gelatinous cube familiar and stuff like that. I hope I helped you guys figure this out. Yeah, I don't know. It took me a little while. Like I said, I guessed some of these, right? Like I guessed when I started to figure out that it was about the T, I guessed cask, right? I started to figure it out. We got the first letter. You could have probably guessed spider for the climbing one. You know, if you started to look at the letters, you could be like, oh, spiders climb. They're themed, right? So I don't know. They're funky. There's a lot of red herring stuff. I guess that's fayish in nature, sure, but yeah, more red herrings than I would have anticipated. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you figure any of these out on your own? Were you completely lost like I was for a bunch of them? Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.